Hey guys, thank you for listening to this episode of Coffee with Coach. For this one, I got to talk to Big Ben Hartford of Granite Strength Barbell. He is a personal trainer, a strength coach. This is one of the strongest guys I know. In his Instagram, it says he squatted 850 pounds. He bench pressed 645 pounds. His deadlift says meh, so I'm going to have to ask him about that one at a future date. He also makes this incredible mustard, best mustard I've ever had, so hit him up for that. On top of that, he's just an awesome individual coach for people, and I'm hoping I can take some of his philosophies and approaches and apply it to a team approach. So I hope you like this episode. Thank you for listening, and Ben, thank you. See ya. Well, welcome to Coffee with Coach Ben Hartford, and thanks for joining me. I'm happy you got a mug.
Yeah, man. Good to see you.
Good to see you. Personal trainer and strength coach. As I was lining up questions and ideas and thinking of our interview, the theme of strength was riddled through everything. You're one of the strongest dudes that I know, and I want to kind of start by first saying thank you for the help that you gave me when I was in the gym. You and Brian Silfies at 1-to-1. My goals were all around strength and explosiveness and putting weight on, and I was kind of jotting down numbers, and you helped me a ton. So I want to say thanks for that and welcome.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me. I mean, it was awesome having you, man. You were a hard worker, somebody we would all point to. Look, you can put this work in and you can get results, even at the ripe old age of almost 40.
Yeah. So thinking about strength and I was comparing it to basketball coaching, but what do you think it is about strength in particular? And I know you do a variety of things training wise, you can help people reach a lot of different goals, but what is it about strength that is different, helping people get stronger? Have you touched on that at all?
What do you mean? You mean like, what is it about strength that I enjoy getting people stronger? Is that?
Or maybe what have you noticed for people that are getting stronger? What have you noticed that it applies to other aspects of their life?
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
Okay, so yeah, I mean, I'll take a real simple example, right? Mm-hmm. I've got a client who is turning 74 in 2 weeks. I know he doesn't mind me sharing his name. It's Fern. The dude is a Class A badass. Vietnam vet. Like, you can't hold this guy down. However, when he came into the gym, he had to hold onto the wall to walk down the turf. We worked with him. Well, I worked with him. And now we're at the point with him where he can squat almost his body weight, deadlift over his body weight, bench almost his body weight. And like I said, he's turning 74. And the changes in his life are tremendous. Obviously his clothes fit better and he's feeling happier and stronger. But just the idea of being able to walk somewhere without worrying about falling is a great thing. Mm-hmm. Being able to hang out with his grandchildren without worrying about petering out is awesome. He's got a huge yard that he takes care of. So strength obviously has huge benefits for people who start off at the low end of the strength curve. But for people who start off on the higher end of the strength curve, like maybe you, when you came in there, doing it right has a lot of benefit too. You suddenly are understanding how your body moves and how to apply it to all sorts of different things, and learning how to just produce force is going to get you to jump higher and run faster and last longer on the court or the field or whatever it is you're doing. Mm-hmm. So I enjoy that. I think, I don't think there's nobody I've met yet that won't benefit from being stronger than they are.
Yeah, yeah, nicely said. I remember a story when I was working on the hypers when I first started there, and my hamstrings are really weak. This is an exercise you use your hamstrings to kind of to pull the upper half of your body up, and I was struggling, and for some reason it was just something about that exercise. I remember I could only get like 7 or 9 or something, and you encouraged me. You said, get over there, get on there, and you made me do it, and I got like 19 because you were encouraged me, and you were right there telling me to do it. But what is it about getting people to go through walls, or to go through the plateaus that they reach, and overcome what they think is their max, and then be able to go further and continue building on that?
So the little one-man company that I have, Granite Strength Barbell, my motto is know your Valsalva. Your Valsalva is that thing that you do when you pop your ears when you're going up above elevation. It's the thing that you do when you're really trying to push out a hard poop. People do it often enough, right?
Yep.
But it's also the thing that killed Elvis. It increases your blood pressure and can kill you. It's not something to be taken lightly. Another thing that it can do is briefly increase how much weight you can move by a significant percentage. Different studies show 1 to 3%. When we're talking about the high end of what you're benching, 1 to 3% for a 200-pound bencher is 2 to 6 pounds, which is the difference between success and failure.
Mm-hmm.
So it's, if you're going to use it, you need to know how to use it, and if you're going to use it, you need to know when to use it. But more importantly, it pushes you to the edge. What you once thought was the edge, if you're standing on a cliff and looking straight out over the cliff edge, you might not know that you've got 6 more inches to go till you get to the cliff edge until you step forward a little bit. But if you just willy-nilly take a step forward, a full stride, you're going to fall off the cliff, right? Mm-hmm. But the way to find the edge of that cliff is to know where you're going, to know your Valsalva, to know the edge. And it's a wicked cool thing to teach somebody how to find that edge and how to push forward, and how they thought what they once thought was impossible is now done for reps. Mm-hmm. And so I use know your Valsalva as an analogy for, because you use it when you poop. It's know your poop, right?
Yep.
But then it's also know your limits, but also know how to push your limits.
Yeah, so I'm hearing that this comes with a lot of self-awareness, which is awesome. This is something I discovered in the gym, that you think the gym is full of a lot of meatheads and a lot of just kind of dumb guys throwing heavy weights around, but it was a place where I really worked on my self-awareness a ton. And then the other thing I'm noticing about you saying this stuff is it must give you a lot of fulfillment to kind of help guide people through what they think is their maximum,
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's, like I said, whether it's a semi-retired mother of 3, or a power lifter who won a couple local meets and is looking to, move to the next level, or even one of my clients who just set some world records. Sarah, she's a strong lady. Mm-hmm. But she needed some help, and she came to me, and together we've pushed her past where she thought she could go. Everybody can benefit from learning where their boundaries are and pushing against them, and knowing when to push against them. There's value in knowing, look, this is what I'm going to be able to do. I'm a 70-year-old man, and at some point, my squat is only going to get so strong, and then it's going to start to decline. That there's value in knowing that, because you don't want to just beat yourself up and how come I can't get a 5-pound PR? How come I can't do this? How come? Well, the reason is you're honestly degenerating, you know? But that doesn't mean we give up. That means we keep pushing and keep you as strong as you can be for as long as possible.
Yeah, so that's that self-awareness piece. And then also I kind of detect a piece of the long-term approach, because a lot of times with getting stronger, there's, you know, take a step back this week or even a couple weeks in a row where you're doing the same thing you did last week, and then you might have to adjust something, the bar you use, the exercise you use, so that you can then gain 3 weeks down the road. But for a lot of people, that's hard to wait, the patience.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I think I've said this to you a bunch of times, in coaching is at least 75% psychology. You know, I mean, I'm a nerd and I'll go way deep down into the weeds about this stuff, but I spend a lot more time in the gym trying to make people understand that they can, and or trying to understand them in a way, trying to understand how they're going to learn it, right? Because not everybody's a visual learner, not everybody's a motor learner, not everybody's an oral learner, you know? So it takes all sorts of different approaches, and, you know, creating on the way there, but eventually you figure it out, and it's wicked rewarding.
Nice. What about motivating people? And like you said, we all learn differently. Everyone kind of is motivated in different ways as well. What have you found about motivation maybe over the years working with people? What works, what doesn't work?
Violence, always violence. When in doubt, hit them really hard.
Threats?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. No, motivating people. Motivating people can. So there are two things to say there. One is you do need to figure out how to motivate somebody in the beginning. But after a certain point, the motivation needs to start moving towards them. You know, I can only hold somebody's hand, even in a one-on-one session, for so long. I can push people, I can cajole them, I can remind them, no, you remember you did it before, or, you know, sometimes people will be upset and they'll be like, I only got a 2-pound PR. I said, yeah, but that's 2% of what you did. That's like a, you know, 12-pound PR for me, you know, or depending on what lift it is, right? Mm-hmm. You know, and you would rightly think I was being arrogant and foolish if I was complaining about hitting a 12-pound PR in 1 week.
Right.
So, you know, stuff like that, that's part of the learning process. But then also part of the learning process is teaching them how to motivate themselves. Mm. And a lot of that, I mean, it's simple stuff like make sure you bring your book. It's also, there just has to be some sort of fire if somebody wants to reach true greatness. I can coach you, I can be your personal trainer, and we can have goals and we'll get places without you being motivated. That's gonna happen. That's fine. But if you truly want to do something extraordinary, you're gonna have to have motivation. If you want to play D1 ball, if you want to be a 700-pound squatter, a 400-pound bencher, 700-pound deadlifter, if you want to set a field record in Highland Games, these things are possible, and I can help you get there. But you're going to have a fire in there. So motivation it's a two-way street.
So this kind of taps into a question that I wanted to ask you anyway, and this is from my buddy Matt Miller. He asked this question. So help me answer this. He wants to know how to teach someone who's not naturally aggressive to play aggressively. So this is kind of, how do we get that spark out of someone? In basketball, I've found that creating competition and practice, making things games and making the drills games, making them point driven, so there is a winner and a loser to the
Yep.
small game in a drill and practice. But what have you noticed individually? How can we get the fire going a little bit?
Right. So occasionally we'll get a football player, or less often a wrestler, who is skilled and strong, but just doesn't have fire. And their parents will bring them to us and ask us to help them find that. And what I have found that works is everybody is passionate about something. And so you need to find that thing that they're passionate about and help them recognize that feeling in them and then translate it into something else, right? Kind of like method acting, I guess, right? So like if, is that method act? One of those acting methods where like, if you need to cry, you think about your grandfather dying, even if actually what you're crying about for the play or the movie is your girlfriend left you, right? The place that you draw on is your grandfather dying. The place that you draw on for the gym is that time that you were accused of cheating at school, but you didn't do it and you failed the class. You know, you draw on something and then apply it over here. I found that works sometimes, but the most consistent way that we are able to light the fire under people is showing them that they can make progress and that they will make progress if they stay the course. Most people end up being motivated by that. Most people see that, oh yeah, I was just a 120-pound, 5'7" guy with, just a little chin fuzz or whatever. But now I'm 130 pounds and I'm doing things I never thought I could do before. That's pretty motivating for most people.
Yeah, I think the confidence piece is part of that. You start to be successful in small experiences, and then you just build on that.
Right. And so taking notes reminds you of those experiences, right?
Yes,
if you don't take notes, it's all arbitrary. Oh yeah, I think I'm stronger. Well, are you?
I remember you asking in the gym, people, what exactly did you do that day? And people would try to kind of be ambiguous about it. I did it. No, what exactly?
Right. Yeah. But because, if you come to me and say I'm getting weaker, I want to know that you're getting weaker. Like, there's going to be a reason, and good notes are going to tell us why. It might be that, the last time you set that PR was in the middle of summer when you didn't have school and hockey and a girlfriend and a job, Yeah. But now we're doing it again, and finals are next week, and you slept 4 hours last night because you worked until 8:00. And yeah, you're going to do, and you had hockey practice in the morning. Yeah, things aren't going to go as well as they did last summer. We need to keep things in perspective.
I love a lot of what you're saying. It's really good coaching because a lot of it is through conversations and listening.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not always the best at remembering this in the moment, but there are, you absolutely have to talk to people. You can't just write something on the board and expect them to go do it. In a perfect world, I would write stuff on the board, they would go do it, and they would come back to me and ask for little tweaks. But that's not that's not what the world is like. So, there's always conversations that need to happen, and there's always somebody who's new or somebody who wrote down the exercise the first time in a way that they understood it instead of the way that was on the board. And so they wrote it down, but they didn't actually write it down. So it's not really of value.
Cool.
Yeah.
I got another question. This is from my friend Aaron McManus, and this is good because I've seen you work with a lot of younger kids in there as well, and this applies to that. So let me see what you got for this. For younger levels, how do you balance fostering the love of the game with a tough love approach to encourage kids to have fun and want to keep playing, but also challenge them to work harder and grow as a player?
So I try to have a conversation with especially the little ones. Anybody certainly younger than 13, but depending on my feel of how mature they are, anybody under 14 or 15 might fall in here too. I try to have a conversation with them at the beginning of them coming into the gym about, look, I'm going to push you really hard. I'm going to ask you to do things that you're going to think they hurt. You're going to feel like crap, a few days later and not want to come back. Your initial performance in whatever sport you're playing is going to drop off. You're going to feel like you can't eat enough. You're going to, there's going to be all sorts of negative feelings. But I'm always going to be your first advocate. I'm always going to be the guy that's pushing you to be better for you. I'm always going to be the guy in your corner. I'm always going to be cheering you on. I always want you to come in and tell me about your successes on the field or the court or the track or whatever it is. I'm your number one fan. Well, maybe next to your parents. But I am going to push you. And there are going to be times when you think I'm being mean, but it's only me trying to get you out of your comfort zone and get you to where I know you can be. And that usually works. It took me a little while to start doing that. It took me there was a month where I had 3 kids starting and I made every single one of them cry. I was like, oh man.
What's happening?
This is awful. And so then I started having conversations with them, usually with their parents there. When I'm giving them a tour is usually when it goes down, about, everything that I just covered. And that's been working a lot better.
Nice. Yeah. I think that upfront conversation can be really beneficial. And one way, in the future, when something happens, and it's not an "I told you so" or "I caught you doing this," but it's more of, we talked about this,
Yeah.
And
remember we talked about this, and this is how it's going to go, and
yeah, cool.
Yep.
Is there anything that you've noticed? Say I have a basketball team, and individuals are coming to you from a variety of different sports. Is there anything you've noticed from that angle, working with the kids and they're talking about their sport, their team? I'm wondering if there's anything that you notice that can help like a team coach. Like, what would you say to me that's coaching a team? Maybe something you've taken from individuals. I don't know if there's anything there or not.
Well, the number one thing I would like team coaches to understand, the first thing is recognize that you are the expert in your sport. You're not the expert in conditioning or strength. Too many team coaches, there are team coaches who have to supply the strength and conditioning because it's a public team. And I get that, because there are people who can't afford to go to a gym, or their parents aren't involved enough to get them to the gym, or many, many reasons, right? But recognize that you're not the expert, and if the kid wants to go to somebody else who is an expert, let them go to somebody else and get stronger. It's only going to look good for you. That kid's nobody's going to walk up to you and say, wow, your kid just dunked on everybody and he could barely even do, I don't know, a layup last year.
Mm-hmm.
You must be a great coach. It's only going to look good for you, you know?
Yeah.
But too many coaches, and there's a coach I'm very much thinking of, and I think you know who I'm thinking of, who will belittle their players for going to people and, you know, make them have to do punish them by making them do extra workouts with him instead of doing it, hey, you just go get strong. That's one thing. Another thing is static stretching is gone. You know, too many coaches, like my kids' coaches, I see this and I'll try to have a conversation with them, and some of them are open to it, some of them aren't. But static stretching before the game is gone. Dynamic stretching is what you need to do. It's been gone for 30 or 40 years, but people are taught by the people who taught them to do static stretching. That static stretching after the game is great. Before the game, we need to do dynamic stretching the strength level and the agility level skyrockets, and the injury level plummets if you do dynamic stretching over static stretching.
Yeah.
So why not do it?
Yeah.
But then another thing that I want the team coaches to know
Mm-hmm.
is oh crap, Maggie, what was I thinking? She doesn't know. She's a dog.
If you remember, let me know. But as we're kind of wrapping up here, people are at home and not knowing what to do, not knowing how to work out. We're dealing with this COVID. You know, can they contact you? Or are you doing home workouts for people?
Yeah. I've got workouts for people going from you have absolutely nothing
Mm-hmm.
to, okay, maybe we can make some stuff out of backpacks or duffel bags, or grab some rocks out of your yard,
Mm-hmm.
or, you know, throw your kids on your back or something.
Yep.
To I've got a home gym set up. And that home gym setup, you'd be surprised what people call a home gym from, you know, oh yeah, I've got it set up, and they've got like a 5-pound dumbbell and a stationary bike. Okay, I can work with that, but I was thinking a little bit different. But yeah, I mean, it doesn't matter what you've got. I've got 2 people right now just using field stones, and they spent one person spent $20 and the other person spent $50 at like dollar stores getting bands and the little kettlebells and dumbbells they have there. And they're doing very difficult workouts and getting stronger. And one person who has, like I said, a stationary bike, I think 7-pound dumbbells and 15-pound dumbbells, and that's it. And they're getting stronger, and they're getting smoked because
Yeah.
you know, when you do what you can do, and so they're going to come out of this very well conditioned.
Cool. Well, I highly encourage people to look you up. I'll put all the links in the bio for your Insta page, website, stuff like that. Is there anywhere else I'm missing?
Instagram, Facebook.
Are you still making mustard? That's
still making mustard.
That's the most important question.
Yes, I'm still making mustard. It's the store it was selling at isn't allowing people in the store anymore, so it's not selling much. But if people want the best mustard they've ever had,
so good.
Meathead Mustard, baby.
Meathead Mustard. All right, I'll try to find that and put a link in the bio for that.
All right.
Awesome stuff, man. Really good. A lot of good stuff for strength, and I love your perspective from an individual coach, and I can take a lot of that and apply it to the team philosophy. So thank you. Appreciate it.
Nice to spend some time with you. Peace out. Hugs, not drugs. Well, we can do hugs later.
Hugs later. Love you, man.
Peace.
See ya.